Okay, now we're gonna do Germany's defeat in World War II, reasons for Germany's defeat. So, just like in Japan, one of the strongest reasons is of course the strength of USA. So we're gonna look at first of all the economic and the military part of the entry of USA into the war. So remember, USA at the point in time was isolationist, meaning that they didn't want to get involved in wars. But of course, after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, it meant that USA was now fully committed to World War II. However, they would focus on the Europe sphere first before they went on to the Pacific. Now, entry of USA first factor, contribution of vast resources and manpower, economic. 3 examples. USA was the world's largest producer of goods. Therefore, they must connect, they're able to convert their factories for military production at a faster rate. So since they're already industrialized, it means it's easy for them to change towards military production. Of course, USA also has a huge population, therefore able to send large number of military personnel to aid in the allied military campaigns. So, cause and effect. Since USA is vastly stronger economically, their direct involvement, because they stopped being isolationists, would have solved allied problems of military shortages. Remember, this economic strength, you cannot underestimate it. Okay, so this would then bolster the allied war machine, therefore making it easier to defeat Germany. The second one on the right you see is actually collaboration with the allies on military strategies. So actually looking at American participation in the planning of strategies was invaluable, especially in the air and sea. So military, think of air and sea. So prevented essential resources from reaching Germany by bombing, also gave allies greater opportunities and success at bombing German cities and Axis military sites. So essentially you understand that USA helped in the navy and in the air. So their air force and their ships would have actually bombed certain raw materials that were en route to Germany. Also, they would have actually also bombed the German cities itself, the sites itself, okay, which will obviously cause Germany to suffer in terms of raw materials. So control of air and sea helped greatly in allied tactical success against Germany. It gives them a military advantage, okay, therefore makes it easier for the allied powers to actually defeat Germany. So of course in exams you can also zoom in. So when you zoom in, you can talk about the air and the and of course control of sea. So that means if you are doing a zooming out factor, just on the previous one, talk about military strategies, you can also pick on specific examples here to actually add on to your previous factor. But first, we are zooming in, control of air. US prioritized building out of the Air Force, developed new techniques that involve radar technology, focus on long-range bombing, and American's Air Force much larger. So to sum it up, your 3 specific examples, American Air Force was definitely larger in numbers. There are new strategies such as long-range bombing, whether it's through aircraft carriers or through new missiles. And of course, your radar technology was very important at that point in time. So these are your specific examples. So your effect of this, your cause and effect, your implication. This will lead to regular bombing of German cities, industries, rail links, synthetic oil plants, combining with the British. This would hinder their production of war materials, and therefore it did force Germany to focus on anti-aircraft guns rather than tanks. Point of the day is that the Luftwaffe, which is your German Air Force, never recovered from this control of air from the Americans itself. Now, if you look at control of the sea, so if you look at control of sea, your problems and solutions are actually your examples, your results are your implications. I repeat again your problems and solutions are your examples, your results are your implications. So first example, German U-boats were sinking British convoys, so US Navy actually took over escort duties, okay, and actually prevented these U-boats. So again, the U-boats in German occupied Norway and France made it easier for German aircraft to patrol the Atlantic and direct the U-boats to targets. The mid-Atlantic gap, allied aircraft could not cross the vast Atlantic easily. So the 3 problems I'm going to summarize for you are: 1, the strength of the U-boats; 2, the bases that they had; 3, the fact that they were patrolling, they were in this Atlantic itself. I repeat again: 1, they were sinking. They were strong U-boats that were sinking British boats. 2, the bases were there, and 3, there's a huge Atlantic gap. So solution, example, US Navy took over escort duties. Greenland and Iceland give them vital bases. They have longer range missile aircraft that can attack U-boats and German planes. The warships were there, better equipment, anti-submarine radio communication, which means that now they take over control from the sea. You have missiles and aircraft that can sink the U-boats. You have bases that you can hold onto the sea bases you are holding onto, and you can patrol the Atlantic itself. So implications is this: Germany eventually will recall its U-boats in 1943. The combined navies of USA and Britain took over the Atlantic from Germany itself, which would help defeat Germany in the long run, since if you think about it, Britain is actually surrounded by sea. Control of air and navy itself is essential for the safety of Britain itself. So this would make it easier to actually defeat Germany when you have control of the sea. So just now we covered on USA, so now you look at Allied resistance, you look at Soviet Union, British and other countries. So I repeat again, now there's another way of organizing USA. So it can be defeat of Germany, basically role of USA, role of Soviet Union, role of British, and role of the other countries. Now, reorganization of the Soviet Union. So maybe I can get Rise to highlight certain parts I'm talking. So maybe Soviet Union formed a highlight military alliance with Britain, okay, in 12th of July 1941. So based on this alliance, it meant that they could actually get some help when they finally decided to gang up against Germany. So despite being unprepared, remember they signed the Nazi-Soviet pact, okay? So the theory is that Stalin wasn't really prepared for Germany to attack him. He wasn't prepared so soon. But despite that, the fact that there were tactical errors on the German side, okay, and again, please refer, later we'll go on to the zooming in part. When we zoom in, you fill in the specific examples. So there were tactical errors on the German side, and then there were also very strong resistance from the Soviet troops, and again, the winters in 1941 to 1942. So I repeat again, the fact that Soviet Union was able to reorganize itself by forming a military alliance, by building itself up, okay, through its troops and the harsh winters, meant that it could actually defeat Germany. So this gave the Soviet Union time to reorganize and rebuild the economy and military production, such that they were able to attack Germany. And if you remember, they actually managed to gain the whole eastern part of Germany, and they were the first to step into Germany as well at the end of the war. Second one, British resistance to German invasion. So for example, Winston Churchill became the Prime Minister, and the key point for Winston Churchill is that he refused to surrender. Key point is that he refused to surrender. Okay, so why is this so important? Remember, Britain was the only country standing towards the end of the war, and Hitler actually said that, you know, I'm not interested in attacking you, maybe you can surrender and we can work something out. But Britain refused to, so they continued to stand up against Germany, and however, Germany needed air and sea supremacy given the fact that Britain was an island, so they needed that before the land troops could actually invade. So again, I will repeat, can you use this and then zoom in? We're going to zoom into Battle of Britain later. So please, the examples here are not sufficient. You need to look at the Battle of Britain further down. Okay? So Battle of Britain, the consequences is that they strengthened the morale of the British. Okay, the British were more and more determined, even though they're the last country standing, that they weren't going to give in. So, and the fact that the British had air and sea, okay, at least the British had sea supremacy, they had control over their own waters, okay, and their own airspace, meant that it was very difficult for Hitler to succeed. Hitler then turned his attention to Russia. Okay, when Hitler turned his attention to Russia, it meant that he's going to get involved in the two-front war, and that was very difficult to win. Hence, it was why Germany was actually defeated. Last one, resistance movement in Nazi-occupied countries. What did they do? They provided vital information and behind-the-line support to the Allies. So memorize this. They provided vital information. There were spies. They also provide behind-the-line support to the Allies. Resistance movements in countries like Yugoslavia, Polish, Soviet resistance movements. Under Charles de Gaulle, there were also forces to free the French. even though French was already occupied by Nazi forces, many civilians who opposed the Nazi joined the communist resistance after Germany's attack on the Soviet Union, especially because they were the most organized, not really because they supported communism, but because they were the most organized resistance. So all these successful resistance movements encouraged and boosted morale. So they will play a very vital role when Germany was defeated, when they were invading Germany. All these resistance movements would actually do the cleanup, and of course in the process of attacking they would join in, and obviously they provide information on what was happening locally, information that the troops that were fighting against Germany would not know unless and only because of the resistance movements. Then they would know about the information on how best to deal with these attacks. So in exams, they can also ask you about the Battle of Britain as an event instead of the role of the British, but this will further supplement, it's actually the same thing, so this will supplement the role of the British itself. Okay, so I'm going to give you some background. So I think you only focus on the things I ask you to focus on, otherwise there's too much background. So you can write in shorter sentences if you want to. This is just background, okay, some parts of it. So Germany attacked Britain in a series of battles known as Battle of Britain. Don't need to write this down, just letting you know. Hitler ordered the Luftwaffe to further weaken the British Royal Armed Force, but tactical changes made by Hitler undermined his success. So we're going to focus on what are tactical changes, okay? So first of all, Luftwaffe, 1940 Luftwaffe attacked British, maybe you can just highlight so you can see where it's flowing. Luftwaffe attacked British coastal defense and airfields with great success. However, by August, Germany accidentally bombed outskirts of London. Civilians were killed. Britain retaliated by bombing Berlin. 1940, he changed the focus of attacks to British cities. Sustained bombings actually started. Now, the key point to all these three, just focus on the fact that at first they attacked defense and airfields. However, when they bombed the city itself, it would cause the morale to actually go against the Germans, because you're doing a direct attack on civilians. Also, the fact that you bomb the cities, it means that the RAF is given breathing space to actually repair itself, especially when Hitler stopped bombing Britain and changed to the Soviet Union itself. So when Hitler realized that he couldn't defeat Britain quickly, and he chose to attack the Soviet Union instead. Okay, so the main point I want you to recognize is this. At first they attacked coastal, then attacked cities. When this happened, British got angry, it boosted morale against the Germans. At first, when they bombed the cities, he realized this would take very long. He changed the focus to Soviet Union. This means that the British armed forces now have space to actually repair itself. Okay, and of course this means that the Luftwaffe was unable to take over Britain itself. So two key points are the ones in bold: given space to repair when they changed focus to Soviet Union. Also the fact that when they bombed the cities itself, the morale of the people in London and in Britain actually grew stronger against the British. So with public support, therefore it's easier for the British to actually defeat Germany. So this is the same as the role of the British as well, okay, in the defeat of Germany. So you can use points here to supplement the previous one. Alright, last part, let's focus on Germany. Okay, so now Germany's role, what did Germany do? So you can zoom into the 4 things that Germany did. So first is ineffective command structure, heavy reliance on petroleum, war on 2 fronts, inappropriate use of resources and military fronts. Now, be careful to organize this against political military strategies. Maybe I think the ineffective command structure will be political, will be leadership. Okay, I'm just paraphrasing, these are factors, can you please write it in as well? Heavy reliance on petroleum could be economy, war on 2 fronts would be military, inappropriate use of resources could be leadership as well. I repeat again, ineffective command would probably be leadership, political, heavy reliance on petroleum would probably be economic, war on 2 fronts would probably be military strategies, inappropriate use of resources could be either, I think, both military and both leadership. Now, ineffective command structure, so what I do now? Confusing system of overlapping authority. only Hitler could make the decisions, and he always went against the advice of his experienced generals. So this frequently proved to be mistakes, such as those that he made the Battle of Britain and invasion of Soviet Union. Do me a favor, go back to what the Battle of Britain and invasion of Soviet Union and pick out the mistakes. So to recap, the Battle of Britain, the mistakes that he made was to bomb the city, was to actually allow time for the British Air Force to actually rebuild themselves when he moved the attention to Soviet Union. He also dragged too long for Soviet Union, opened up to France, correct? And then met with the harsh winters in the Soviet Union. So the timing was very wrong as well. So I repeat again, giving time for Britain to actually rebuild, so allowing Britain to actually the fact that he didn't defeat Britain, and of course the fact that he chose to invade Soviet Union and the timing was wrong, he hit winter, all of these opening up to France. You have to put this in as well. Okay, so ineffective command structure means that he made the wrong decisions that caused losses, therefore easier to defeat Germany. Heavy reliance on petroleum, little natural petroleum reserves on their own, but this was what powered the war machine, so he tried to turn to synthetic oil. However, they were subjected to Allied area bombing. The Plosti oil fields were put out of operation as a chief source of oil imports. So this is just straightforward memorizing. Okay. Therefore, war machine came to a halt. No raw materials, cannot fight effectively. Therefore, defeat. So only remember to add in the part about Battle of Britain and invasion of Soviet Union. Okay, the rest is actually fine. So war on the two fronts is a military strategy. While at war in Britain, Hitler chose to invade Soviet Union, spreading his forces too thin, declared war on USA while he seemed to gain the upper hand. He thought that USA would be fighting Japan, however, USA agreed with the Allies to attack Germany first. So implications, he's now fighting a war on two fronts against formidable opponents at the same time. This means that he has to spread his troops. On one front, he met the harsh Russian winter. On the other front, he allowed the British troops to regroup. This made the Allied forces stronger, such that they could come up with a concerted effort to actually defeat Germany. So quite straightforward. Just remember, you must show two fronts. One hand, Britain, he left Britain to focus on Soviet Union. On the other hand, allowed USA to enter the war. On the other hand, Russia was able to stop Germany during the harsh winters. Last one, inappropriate use of resources and military funds. Germany focused on producing a large number of different types of armaments, shortage of proven weapons and essential equipment, trucks, infantry vehicles. So again, we're looking at military planning, okay, very bad military planning, choosing a lot of weapons instead of focusing on the ones that they need. Lack of adequate personnel for armament production, factories were staffed by starving slave laborers. So you can tell that the war machine is starting to slow down. The decisions that they're making are not appropriate when you're fighting a war on such a large scale. Where you fight a war on a large scale, you focus on the essential products. When your war is very small, maybe you can still experiment a bit and try different types of weapons. But when you're fighting a war on a large scale, you're holding many territories, you may just want to focus on ensuring the basics are out there. Of course, there's also lack of adequate personnel, means people for production. Now this weakened its military production and effectiveness during war, causing it to be unable to support its troops. Remember, it's spread out too thin, therefore it will weaken the military, therefore it's easy to defeat. Now that we are done, make sure you guys copy everything down. You don't have to copy everything word for word, but make sure in point form it is specific enough. If it's too long, but you must have sufficient facts, otherwise it's not sufficient. Okay, additional notes will come out when school starts.